Most folks expect to be sold. Let me give you an example. I tend to buy more vehicles than most, and I tend to have a relationship with the folks that sell me a vehicle. I had a good friend. He provides a service, and he was broken down on the side of the highway. I was going to not be able to partake in the service that he offered that day because he's on the side of the freaking road in his broken down car. I said, well, if I can't receive my service, how about I just come and get you or help you get the car off the side of the road? He said, all right, let's get it out of here, or call a tow truck or something. He started up the car and got himself off the highway, and I had my little blinkers behind him. And then I said, well, this piece of you know what, it's not going to get you to and from work. And he says, yeah, I want a new car. I said, what do you want? He says, I want a Range Rover. I said, Range Rover? Kind of pricey. And he says, yeah, but I had one before and I really want one. Okay, you want to make a phone call? He says, what do you mean you can make a phone call? I can call my friend. He will send a tow truck. I will tell him how much you're going to pay for the car. The contract will be drawn up for you to sign. When you go there, it's all done. By the time the tow truck gets here, the paperwork will be ready. All you got to do is tell him your name and your social security number and it'll all be done. And he says, no, that's not how you buy a car. I said, well, I don't know how you buy a car, but that's how I buy a car. And I could do it by text if you like. And he says, I don't even understand. I said, they're going to come out and they're going to tell me something, then I'm going to have to go back and forth and back and forth. I said, is that fun? And he says, no. I said, well, would you like to do it my way? And he says, yeah. I told him how much he was going to pay a month for the car and how much they were going to give him for the pile of stuff that they were going to tow in. He calls me once he gets to the dealership, who sent a tow truck for him. I'm at home already because obviously I didn't get to do anything with him that day. And he says, I'm going in the scary room. And I said, what's the scary room? He says, the room where they close the door and then they try to sell me stuff. And I said, I'm pretty sure you're just going to sign and leave. He says, well, I'll call you once I get out of this room. 10 minutes later, he says, all I did was sign. And that was it. It was all done. And I said, yeah. And he says, he didn't try to sell me anything. He just did what you said he was going to do. And I said, yeah. And I said, isn't that a good experience? He says, well, I'm still trying to figure this out because that's not what I expected. And I don't think that's the way most folks buy a car. I think most folks expect to have somebody tell them a ridiculous number and then have to sit there all day until they're worn out. And then they finally either say, I want it and I'm tired of fighting with you, or not. That doesn't sound like a pleasurable experience to me. We have an intentional client journey. We expect to solve a problem. With our clients, when they come to us, it's not about what do we have to sell them. It's us understanding what the challenge that they're facing is, and then we will look at, if it's in the Medicare space, every product from every company all at once using our really cool software to compare every plan side by side that will actually have their doctors, their hospitals, and their prescriptions at their favorite pharmacy. And then we're looking at, instead of 100 plans, which is not unusual, we're maybe looking at 4 or 5. And then they get to pick which one makes the most amount of sense to them. So instead of having that terrible, scary experience, we're taking them through the process of us completely understanding what their challenges are by asking a series of questions and them sharing their answers, saying, well, here's the next steps. This is the plan that makes the most amount of sense to you because you said so. Here's the brochure for that particular plan. You have to do this, and then we'll do that. And then that's it. It'll start the first of the month that you need it to start. Pretty straightforward. And that is completely contrary to what folks expect buying insurance or working with a financial planner is. Because they're expecting to have this situation where they're uncomfortable, they're nervous, they're anxious. We don't do any of that. We give them the opportunity to understand what the challenge is from the insurance or from the financial side, share with them the options that exist, and then here's a clear path forward and a timeline. You're going to do this on this day, you're going to do that on that day, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and boom, by golly, it's a little bit different than what most folks expect.
Well, and the thing that I hear from, especially the car example, you having a lived experience doing that often, is that the relationship refines that process.
Well, I built the relationship. I had one car brand, German brand, built in South Carolina. Kind of weird. I bought 9 cars from that guy. 9 cars in a row. I started changing the way that the car dealer interacts with their clientele. Obviously, at the level of vehicle that I'm buying, it's not magic marker and a sales guy and then another sales guy and then a closer coming in. It's a conversation with probably the owner or the lead guy that can make all the decisions without interrupting. But with us, you're meeting with a certified planner, whether it's a certified Medicare planner or a fiduciary in the financial space or one of our generational wealth specialists, all experts in their field. The person making the decision is a licensed person. Most folks don't get the opportunity to meet with somebody that actually could do something like that. There's no, well, let me go check on this, let me go check on that, let me go see this, let me go see that. I don't see how somebody could actually get to understand a client's needs for the next 20 years by having a short conversation. We're comprehensive planners that focus on the needs of our clients, primarily folks that are approaching retirement or have retired, and their needs evolve. They're not the same at age 65 as they are at 85. And since we have clients well past 100, we know what every stage of their life looks like after they become a client.